All right, before I get into this episode, I want to say this first. This one is dedicated to the memory of Jaden Pierre and Quashare Chase Higgins, and to every family, every friend, every parent, every classmate, every community member hurting behind losses like these. This episode is also to the mothers and the fathers that are actually actively trying, the ones who don't know what to say, and the ones who do know what to say, but feel it's not enough. And this is mostly to the ones that hold fear every time their child steps outside. If you're listening to this while grieving, while confused, while angry, or just trying to make sense of how things keep getting this far, I want to thank you for sitting with me. I can't fix this in one episode, but I do hope that this starts the conversation that does mean something. So now let's talk about it. It seems like every time a young person dies, everybody asks what happened, who did it, why it happened, what led to it. Those are real questions. They need to be genuinely asked. But I think sometimes we just ask too late. Truth is, the better question might be, what was missing long before this happened? What was the guidance that never showed up? What anger got fed instead of addressed? And what emptinesses got dressed up as toughness? Honestly, a lot of these young people aren't being raised by wisdom. They're being raised by pain. And that's what we need to talk about today. Welcome back to Word Forward, guys. I'm Damien J. Branch. And on this episode 12, I wanted to address something real serious. This is not internet talk right now. And this is not content for clicks. This is about young lives, young men and women, families, communities, and this weird pattern we keep watching happening to our youth. Like it's normal, and it's not normal at all. It's far from it. So today I wanted to speak to the parents. I want to speak to the young men and the young women. I want to speak to the fathers, the mothers, and I want to talk to everybody that still cares enough to tell the truth. Let's get into this. And I want to be clear about something off top. This is not going to be one of those back in my day type of episodes. I'm not here to act like the generation before this one was anything perfect. And my era definitely wasn't. Yeah, we fought. We had fist fights. We made mistakes. We did a lot of dumb stuff. And we lost a lot of people too. But there's a huge difference between then and now. The consequences, they seem a lot faster. And the anger just is more crowded. And a lot of this guidance, it just feels thinner than before. Yeah, and these weapons, they're much deadlier too. What used to be a fight can now become a funeral. And what used to be a little bit of embarrassment walking home can now turn into revenge. Because today, pride has a bigger audience. Everything gets filmed. Everything gets replayed. And that kind of audience, it changes everything. Because when those moments used to be private, it was room to still walk away. There was room to still cool off. And there was space to let that moment pass. And today, the moment, it gets public before it's even over. A camera gets pulled out, the crowd just starts gathering, and the narrative is already in formation. And for young people who fully don't know who they are yet, that audience, it becomes their prison. Because now when they try to back down from something, it turns into humiliation. And walking away from it, it just looks weak. Letting it go, it just looks like you're losing their status. And the pain gets mixed in with the ego and that audience. Those young minds, they make permanent decisions from temporary moments. It's not because they're evil kids. It's just that the noise from their peers become destructive to their perception. And see, this is where adults need to really listen and lean in. A lot of these teenagers aren't chasing danger, for real. They're chasing their identities. They all want to feel respected. They all want to feel seen. And this pull to wanting to feel like they belong to something that helps them feel like they really matter. But those aren't criminal desires. Those are actual needs, human needs. And if their home can't meet them there, the streets will always offer them a fake version of that. They get fake loyalty, a fear-based respect, and they hang around crowds that celebrate destruction. And that's the version of family built on pressure instead of real love. And to a kid that actually already feels empty inside, that could look real to them. That's why this goes deeper than just being bad kids. A lot of times they're just wounded kids trying to become something in this crazy world. And they're all just using the wrong blueprint. And here's the real dangerous part to that. If a child has never experienced some real belonging, the counterfeit version will always feel real to them. It'll feel real enough that it's like the closest thing they ever had to it. And you can't always expect a young mind to understand, to reject something that's fake when no one has ever showed them the real thing clear enough. But let me be fair about this one too, because I don't want this whole conversation to sound like tragedy always comes from broken homes. That's not true at all. Some kids, they come from great homes. A lot of them have fathers around, mothers in their lives that worked and tried their hardest, and they were really loved. A lot of them grew up with the guidebook, with the structure, and they still get pulled into those bad situations. Because a strong home, it could only lower those risks, but it will never make the decisions for that teenager. At some point, when that child steps outside, and that outside is a swamp full of pressure, pressure to fit in, pressure to look tough, pressure to follow that trendy crowd, pressure to prove something to people that never needed proving. And a lot of these young people, they lose themselves to that. Not because their home failed them. It's because they wanted acceptance more than the direction. And that's not the parents' fault, but it still matters. Some parents are trying their best right now, and they still hurt and get confused, asking themselves, what did I miss? So this isn't about blaming parents. It's about understanding the battlefield. And one of the hardest truths is sometimes the danger isn't inside the home. Most times the danger is what that child has to do to survive, what happens to them outside the home. And let me say this because this is real important. People love to hide behind money, but you don't need to be rich to raise your kids. You could still be broke and have structure in your house. You could still struggle financially and teach your children all the discipline. You could be renting a small place right now and build big respect inside that home. Some of us came from homes just like that, with limited money, but with very, very clear rules, clear boundaries, clear consequences, and a lot of love. Money does help, but don't get me wrong. Money is never the foundation of it. The presence is, the consistency is, attention and the correction is, and the love is. Too many people think that providing is only financial, but it's not. Providing is emotional, it's spiritual too, and it's giving the guidance. It's showing up consistently as the anchor to the storms. And a child that has a real anchor in their life, even a small home, even in a struggling household, has something that the streets can never replace, and that's peace of mind. Okay, but let's go a little bit deeper than that, right? Because a lot of these kids, a lot of these young boys, they're just copying men that are already lost in the game. They're imitating people that have no real freedom in life, no peace, no future, no discipline, and somehow all that gets marked down as power. And listen to me real carefully right now. Everybody with a loud image is not winning. Everybody that is feared is not respected. And a lot of people that are being followed aren't worth following. Some of those people are just examples for your life. Some of those people are just warnings for you. You got to know the difference. A lot of young men just need mentors. Instead, they're getting performers. And performers can't raise children. They can only entertain them to a certain degree. But nobody gonna show them the cell. Nobody shows them the grief in the family. Nobody's showing them the old man at 40 still paying for the decisions he made and the mistakes he made at 16 and 17. Those parts don't go viral. Just the image does, that performance does, and the fake power does. And that's what happens when young men build their identity around things that just spread and not things that have longevity. If the home doesn't build an identity for them, the streets will. And if the father doesn't teach their child discipline, the internet will teach them all the performance. If that child doesn't feel seen for real, the wrong crowd will make them feel chosen. And by the time most adults notice these things, the lessons in these kids' head already gotten too deep. Okay, this is another part that I think matters. When I was growing up, I had different circles to belong to, right? I had basketball friends, I had funny friends, I had my street friends, I had my anime artist friends that like to draw. I had different lanes to belong to. I had different lanes to fit in with, different energies to build with. And that helped me because if one crowd started moving wrong, I had somewhere else to go. Most kids today, they just build their energy around one group, one image, one crowd, one set of music, and that lane is going to crash. And they're going to crash with it. That's real dangerous. Trying to fit in can become more important than trying to stay alive sometimes. Young people need to hear this one clearly. Just because somebody looks like your people, it doesn't make them your people. Just because something looks trendy, it doesn't mean that it's safe for you. Just because a group looks loud, it doesn't mean that it's healthy to be in. Everything that's round isn't the same fruit with the same flavor. Some people will look similar on the outside, but they're not built the same as you on the inside. Choose your circle wisely and carefully, because your circle could either protect your future or it could pressure you into destroying it. And to all the fathers listening right now, this part is big. Your presence matters more than you think. Even when the kid acts like it doesn't matter. Even when they start ignoring you. Even when they start feeling closer to their phone and their devices than to you. They're still watching you. They're watching how you speak to people under pressure, how you handle stress, how you move when you're angry at them, how you treat other people. They're also watching how you recover when life hits you hard. You're always teaching, even when you think you're not. And if you're absent in the picture, the streets, the internet, another broken man, lost boys pretending to lead other lost boys, protect them early because later gets too expensive in ways money will never fix. That's all my mother's listening right now. Real respect to you because many of y'all out here carrying heavy loads, raising children, working many hours, and trying to hold it together, trying to be everything to everybody all the time. That's never lost on me. But I want to say this with the same respect. Love alone is never going to be enough. Protection alone will never be enough. Comfort is never going to be enough. Boys today, they need standard. They need accountability. They need correction. They need more responsibility. And no parent will do anything perfectly. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point is intentional effort, seeing those warning signs early, having the hard conversations early, holding the line early. Do that before the streets do the teaching for you. And to all the young people hearing me right now, I need y'all all to know something. You don't have to prove yourselves through destruction. You don't have to crash out to be respected. You don't have to bully people to matter. You don't have to follow those lost people to feel like you belong. Real strength is control. Real strength is restraint. Real strength is walking away when you feel ego is giving you the green light. Real strength is building something that nobody could take from you. And I need y'all to sit with that one. What can't be taken from you is not the image, it's not the height, not the crowd. It's your discipline, your character, your freedom, your future. Anybody could throw their life away. That's easy to do. Building one, that takes real power. And you have it. Even if nobody has ever told you that before. I'm telling you right now. So what do we actually really need? We don't need punishment after the fact. We don't need the hashtags after the tragedies. We don't need the temporary outrages that are trendy until the next thing comes along. We need stronger homes. We need more present fathers. We need more supported mothers. We need real mentorships, after school structures, community standards, real conversations that can happen before the crisis. And we need these adults to stop acting shocked at the outcomes that we keep ignoring at the source. That shock is not honest anymore. We've seen this pattern way too many times. We know where it starts, and we keep looking away from the beginning and crying at the end. That's where we need to change. Pain is a terrible parent, but it will raise the child that you leave with it. Real quick before I dip. Every single time a life gets lost, we get to mourning in the end. But many times, the warning signs started years earlier. This is not about blaming one group. This is about accountability across the board. Because children don't raise themselves well. Silence will never raise them. Phones will never raise them correctly. Algorithms never raised anybody. Pain doesn't raise people well. Real people do. Guidance will. Structure does. Love does. Truth and honesty will. So to all my adults, become what they need a little bit sooner than later. And if you're a younger listener right now, choose a better life before it chooses one for you. Too many of these teens are being raised by pain, and we all know that pain is a horrible parent. Remember, this is where we don't just talk. We think over here too. And if this episode hits you at all, share it with somebody raising some kids, or somebody trying to become a man right now, or a young woman right now. Share this to somebody that needs to hear that they still matter. Follow Word Forward on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, and drop a comment and tell me something. What do young men and young women need the most right now? I want to read those, and I'm going to respond back too. We're going to take this to the inner circle and go a little bit deeper. So make sure you follow me there. It's in the description. This is Word Forward, y'all. I'll see you in the next one.